a Division I athlete that starts to get offers and you start getting recruited, that's great, okay? But if not, it's important for you to make sure you get that outreach. Okay, so you take every time you perform well and you let the coaches of the schools that you're interested in know about it. And it's important that you have a target frame of 100 schools. That's what you start with. Okay, 100 schools. You're going to be filtering in and filtering out those 100 schools throughout the process in order for you to have the opportunity to get recruited. It is critical that you target 100 schools and you have a list of schools, okay, schools, coaches info, and then your outreach, how you reached out to them. This is key, okay? You got to have the schools, the coaches, the info that you're reaching out to them with, and you know, kind of notes about how you outreach to those guys. That's critical. You want to email your profile to them. Don't just send the huddle link. It's important that you email your profile along with your huddle link, a background so they can be interested in you. That's an important thing. From a Twitter standpoint and Instagram, these are fastly becoming – Twitter is probably the #1 recruiting tool to reach out to college coaches on. If you get them to follow you, you can DM them, but you can initially reach out to especially the positional coaches, finding the positional coaches and finding the recruiting coordinators and sending those guys out Twitter information is key. Okay, and Twitter, making sure you get their profile. So when you go and send out that information to them, I'll give you a little example of what it should look like. I'm going to share my desktop with you so you can see this. Okay. All right, so if you look at my Twitter, okay, because I'm sharing my board with you, and those of you guys who might be online, you don't have access as part of the benefits here. I get all kinds of messages from athletes from a messaging standpoint. If you want to send a message to someone like myself, it's important for you to make sure you get your information out there in the proper way, in a way that people can understand it and that people are going to want to talk to you. So when you send a message to a coach, you should have them, first of all, in your inbox. And let's say you wanted to send an information to, try to think of someone that definitely follows me. Okay. So when you want to send the information out to a coach, the most important thing that you could do is to make sure you send that information out to them, okay? And you send that information out to the coach, and you go ahead and include your name. So it'd be name, okay? Your height, weight, position, okay? Your huddle link, your graduating class, your speed, and information about yourself, including any transcript information, so GPA, SAT score, that you were all state, those kind of things, and then you want to hit send and get that stuff out there. So it's a good example of how you can go communicate. And you happen to see, you know, Gary Patterson from TCU. Those of you guys who know from NUC Sports, I mean, I know, I'm not gonna say I know every coach in the country, but I know a lot of the coaches, and I communicate them with on a regular basis. We talk about even more things than just necessarily football. But it's important that, you get the opportunity to go and reach out to those guys. They are on DM. You can see, for example, right there, I have I conversed with Gary Patterson. I probably deleted half the stuff already. So it's important to make sure that you go and get that information out there. Instagram, which is fastly becoming, all of you guys are on Instagram. The coaches are now on Instagram. DM, that's where it goes down. Make sure you use DM. If you use DM, if you're not using it right now to interact with coaches, interact with people like me that can help you out, it's important that you go on DM, both Twitter and Instagram, build relationships that way, okay? Because you got to cover these 3 areas. If you cover these 3 areas in your follow-ups, you're going to be ahead of the game. Phone. This requires guts. You got to reach out to college coaches, starting with the recruiting coordinator and position coaches. Reach out to them, introduce yourself to them, tell them that you sent them over an email last night. That's key. Follow up. Don't send it over one time and hope that that's going to be able to help you get recruited. You've got to follow up every few weeks to see where you stand. If they tell you no, then you move on. And this list of 100 schools, that changes. That changes over time, okay? Your profile, I just showed you how you'd set that up on Twitter. You need to have a profile that has all the pertinent information of yourself. If you want to include a picture, you want to include a video, you should definitely do that now. If you don't include video, introduce yourself. It's foolish. Utilize that to be able to help you get that up there. Build a full profile so people get to know who you are. Obviously, you got to send your film, those huddle links. I'll go to film a lot later, more in depth. And then visits. You want to get there for junior days. You want to be able to be there at football games on the side. You want to build relationship with those coaches that get to know you. The last thing you want to do is try to build relationships your senior year. If you're waiting for your senior year, the only places that you're going to have a great amount of – definitely FBS is going to be out. But, FCS is not necessarily going to be out, but they're already building relationships with someone for over the last couple of years more than likely. But now you're going to be in Division II and Division III because there are a lot of times the people that – look for people that fall through cracks. So make sure you go and you start visiting and you build those relationships right away. This is the key outside of how good you actually are to becoming someone that can be recruited. Measurables. One of the things I laugh at all the time that I'll have parents tell me that their athlete is a great football player, but they don't have the measurables. How are they not going to get recruited over someone that they might have been better than in the game? Measurables, the higher level you go, the more important measurables are going to be. There are exceptions. If there is an exception, you have to be the very best, especially at the FBS level. So don't have an exception and be just an all-league player. You're going to have to be an all-state player, someone that's unstoppable in order to be able to do that. So it's critical for you to make sure that you have the measurables in order to be able to get recruited. Height and size for your position is the most important thing. Height and size, okay? So I'm not saying the guys don't, but there's a range for everything. If you're 5'6" and you play quarterback, you're not playing at FBS. Hasn't had anybody under 5'10" since Doug Flutie. Okay, and that's going back to the 80s, and it won't happen again. Russell Wilson is a great example of probably the shortest FBS quarterback. He's done unbelievable things. It is so rare. You have to be exceptional. So height and size your position. The one position that guys come in all shapes and – actually, I should say two positions, but running back, they come in all shapes and sizes. Defensive back, all shapes and sizes. Now guys are looking for people that are taller, but for a long time, all shapes and sizes. That means it's speed. Speed is at a premium. Now, quarterback position, okay, if you're a dual threat, this is really important. If you're purely a drop back quarterback, this is not as important. But speed is at a premium. Speed for your position, okay? So linemen, it's not as big a deal for an offensive lineman to have big-time speed, but you have to be incredibly quick and explosive, and that's where this comes in right here, power and explosion. One of the greatest measurables for that, so the measurable for this is the 40-yard dash. What's your 40-yard dash? The measurable for power and explosion is the broad jump or vertical jump. That's your measure for power and explosion. A lot of people think the bench press, athletes think that the bench press is really important. Yes, it's good to have a good bench press. Okay? That is not what coaches look for at college. They think they're going to develop you from a strength standpoint. How explosive are you? Okay? How your performance is on the field. So, if you're a quarterback and you throw a lot of interceptions, that's going to be a negative. If you're a running back and you average under 5 yards a carry in high school, that's going to be a negative. On the flip side of that, if you're 70% passer as a quarterback, that's going to be a positive. You throw a lot of touchdowns, a high touchdown interception ratio, that's a positive. As a lineman, offensive lineman, having a high grade out, no missed assignments, a ton of pancakes, so on and so forth. You get the picture. Okay, sacks. Big plays, those are things. And what I call suddenness. So suddenness is you're here, defensive player's here, and you have a very small windows of opportunity where they can make a tackle and you look like you have nowhere to go. And your ability to burst and get to the end zone, that's suddenness. Suddenness is explosive, big plays that nobody else can make. That's what you want to have. Okay, nobody else can make. And the second thing, actually, the other thing that's really important with this, I love my favorite thing on film. When I see an athlete go into the end zone and he's being chased, if they move at the same exact pace, nothing changes, then that person has decent speed. If he pulls away, then that person has great speed. Okay, and the level of competition dictates a lot of that. But that's one of the things that we look for, especially from your position. Or if you're talking about a defensive lineman, ball carrier going this way, defensive lineman tracks him down for 0-yard gain. That's explosiveness. That's suddenness. Okay, so I talked about this. Performance. These factors are key to making sure that you can get recruited. Your film, okay? Obviously, how good are you on film? This is everything. Along with that, how dominant are you? When they pull up your film, you got to win most of your battles. The majority of your battles, you got to win. You have to be dominant. Okay? Dominant is not blocking a guy and getting a stalemate. Dominant is pancaking somebody. And this goes for all levels. So the difference between FBS, FCS, D2, D3. Let's use a lineman, for example. Lineman at FBS, 6'4" on average. At FCS, 6'2" on average. Division II, 6'1" on average. Okay, Division III, 6 feet. That's the difference. But they're all dominant at their level. Okay, so it's important to understand. Your motor, especially for defensive players, okay, this is key. Offensive lineman, do you go and get another block? Do you go find someone else to block? Do you find another person to go get after you finish somebody off? Do you do that? What is your motor like? When they pull up your game film, they need to see you chasing all the time if you're a defensive player. If you're a quarterback, do you carry out all your fakes every single time? Decision-making. How good is your decision-making? Do you make plays that help the team or hurt the team? That's important. Clutch. How clutch are you? Tight situations. When I pull up the film and the game is 14-14 on the line and we need to play, it's third down, do you make that play? Athleticism. It's important for an athlete to be athletic. Okay? You've got to be able to make plays in space, close down space, and as a defensive player, and be able to make impactful plays. Level of competition. Okay. This is always a controversial thing. People always say, is my level of competition good enough? You need to have a reasonable level of competition. If you're playing at the lowest level, small school, this dominance factor for someone that is at a lower level of competition has to be more impactful than someone at a higher level of competition. If you're playing the best leagues against the best competition and you're dominant, it's a lot easier for a coach to be able to evaluate you. If you're playing a lower level competition, you still can get recruited at the same kind of level, but you have to be more dominant because they're assuming less type of caliber players. Okay, are you a game breaker? This is important. You're a quarterback and you throw 10 touchdown passes the whole season. That doesn't signify a game breaker. Okay. Now, I understand everybody runs different types of offenses, so you may not always have all the opportunities, but that's not a game breaker. Okay. A game breaker as a quarterback is someone that's throwing around 20 touchdown passes, 15 to 20 touchdown passes. Above that, even more. Okay. Something that they can hang their hat on. So when people talk about stats, regular stats don't matter. Game breaker type stats do. Okay. Did you get 2,000 yards all purpose? That's pretty explosive. That's a game breaker. Do you somehow score a lot of touchdowns, 15 touchdowns in a season? I see guys that play in some of the best teams, they'll score 35, 40 touchdowns a season. When Johnny Manziel was coming out of high school, he accounted for 70 touchdowns between rushing and passing. That's a game breaker. I have a thing called the list. If you haven't gotten the list, you need to go get it. I'll send that to you guys. Okay, if you go to shop, it's on here. Oh, shit. I messed that up, but shopnuc.com. If you haven't gotten the list, get the list. It has every college coach on there and start reaching out. You have to be able to start reaching out. If you don't have this, this is what you're going to have to do, okay? You're going to have to go and find a list of every college coach, and you're going to go to their staff directory. I'm going to show you right now. Staff directory, okay? And reach out to every college coach. Okay, you're going to go to the staff directory. So let's share the screen real quick. And those of you guys who are on other platforms aren't going to be able to see this. I'll share the screen here. This is the easiest way to do it. Just look right away, okay? If you're over here on my share this. Right here, just type into Google, Rutgers Staff Directory. Actually, I made one error here, football. That's all you got to put in. You put every single school in there. This comes up every single time for you from a standpoint of recruiting. And right here, you go and you find football. And it has every single coach's contact info. Okay, now Rutgers is an example of someone that doesn't put a certain amount of info in there. Okay, but let's go to somebody that might be a little bit better from this standpoint. Let's go to an FCS school. Delaware Football Staff Directory. There you go. Delaware Blue Hens. Find football. Click go. And here's every single information on all the coaches from a staff directory standpoint. Okay. So I want to make sure you guys can see this. If you can't, let me know. But this is here. This is where it is for you guys. Okay. All right. Now let's go to a Division III school. Okay. Colby College Football Staff Directory. This is just right into Google. Best friend you ever had. Google. Boom, staff directory. Okay. Set up a little bit different at Division III level. There's football, Jack Cosgrove, Dave Dunn, Sean Connerly, so on and so forth. Okay. Everybody's contact info. Can't get any easier for that. That goes back to what I talked about earlier. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that part? Okay, good. I'll make sure everybody can still hear me pretty well here. All right, so that's important. If you're not going to be willing to do that, I made it real simple for you. Shop NUC.com. Get the list. $99. You get access to every single college coach in the country. You'll get the spreadsheet. You'll be able to have it right at your fingertips. You won't have to do that. Okay, that's the easiest way to go ahead and go through this recruiting process. Recruiting is relationship plus skills, meaning your skills and a relationship you build. I got my beautiful drawing here with you in the middle. College coach, your coach, and if you notice, your coach is the middleman between you. So you better have a good relationship with your high school coach because that is your middleman. Today I had a parent reach out to me. I felt terrible getting back to them about this, but I had a parent reach out to me and ask me, the high school coach didn't get along with him. I felt like the kid was getting punished by the coach because the high school coach and the parent didn't get along. That's a mistake on the parent, okay? To think that your high school coach isn't a human being and is going to be less apt to help you if you give him a hard time is absolutely crazy bonkers. You want to have your son play football in college? You better find a way to get along with your high school football coach, okay? That is important as a player. It's important for your team in order to be successful. You're not going to win games if you can't have everybody on board. And to encourage your parents to get along with your high school football coach, it's a mistake. One of the biggest mistakes I see in football today, parents not having a relationship with the high school coach. They're human beings. How you play. So your performance on the field, this is a field, by the way, my beautiful drawing. Your performance on the field with the college coach, your grades, your transcript, and this says character here, your character. These are attributes of you that is going to be communicated to your coach, which goes to your college coach. This is a huge thing. You can circumvent your high school coach by getting your film out there. And obviously, if you have a great relationship, he's going to help you. But you can't circumvent the grades. So, what do you need to have grades-wise to go to certain schools? State college. Okay, GPA is going to be the most important thing, and I'll go through this in a second. State college. If you want to play at state college, you better have a minimum of 2.6, and you want to get it in easy, and you want to have a 3.0. You want to play at a higher academic school. Bare minimum 3.0. 3.0. Okay. I'll go over here with this. You want to play at an Ivy League type level school. You're going to have a minimum of 3.4 GPA. Yes, there are exceptions. Make sure you know this. This is critical when you target your schools. Finding the right place to play at. There's the other biggest mistakes that athletes I'll write this for you. Don't be stubborn or closed off. Don't get so idealistic about the school that you want to play at that nothing else matters, that you'll sacrifice your own career for the fact that you want to play at another school that isn't even interested in you. Don't be stubborn or closed. Every college coach that comes in to see you, that talks to you, you show with respect, you meet with them, because you never know what's going to happen. Until you go and actually commit to a school, you got to do this. You got to do your research on the universities. I'll show you that in a second. You got to contact, you got to have follow-up. So when you go to those 100 schools, this is how you pare it down. You start with 100. Immediately, I could tell you that out of that 100 that you initially target, 80 will have no interest. You replace those 80 with a new 80. Out of those 80, 60 will have no interest. You replace those with a new 60. You get through that process and you still have no schools, there's either a problem with your academics, there's a problem with how good you are, or there's a problem with your measurables. Going back to what I started with. I'll just kind of show it with you real quick. Like I said, your outreach, your measurables, or your performance. So that's the issue. Covering 240 schools should easily get you an opportunity. If you cover 240 schools at a certain level and you get nothing, you have to move down a level. So if you think your FBS and you target your schools and you get nothing, and you go FCS, you get nothing, then you are targeting now Division II and Division III. Don't be stubborn. Make sure you target it the right way. Feedback. This is important. Get feedback from your coach and the college coach. So I should put your coach and the college coach. And how do you do that? You talk to them on the phone, or you meet with them in person. Worst comes to worst, you do Instagram, Twitter, okay? You have to go and get your feedback. You want to know where you stand. So this is what I'm going to give you. Every school has this, a big board, okay? And they have number 1 prospect at quarterback, John Smith. That's who we want. Number 2, Ricky Fowler. Number 3, Don James. Number 4, you. If you are number 4, chances are they're not going to get to number 4. They may not get here, probably will get here, but if they don't, this is usually where the last place they fall into. If you're down the line of 4, you need to find a new school. If you're not on this board, you need to find a new school. You have to talk to the coach to understand that. If they're not going to be interested, they're going to tell you. They're not going to want to waste your time or your parents' time on this process. It's important. Okay. I want to just ask the 2 guys that are with me here. Actually, there's 4 guys. And if you have any questions about anything right now, 4 guys that are with me on here. Any questions about anything I've covered so far? You could put it in the chat. If you have a question, then I'll go through it. If you have any question along the way, just go ahead and ask me. Okay. Your highlight tape. I can't believe how many times people mess this up. Your highlight tape is your marketing effort feature of yourself. So let's understand what has to happen in your highlight tape, okay? What do you need to include? High effort plays that are excellent. Dynamic impact, TDs, clutch plays, pancakes, sacks, INTs, you get the picture. Those have to be at the first part of your play, your tape. Your first 5 plays, they need to be touchdowns. They need to be interceptions. They need to be big runs. Those are the things that have to be in the front. Your best plays. Your impact plays. block punts, okay? And those kind of things. Long touchdown passes. Touchdown passes where you're throwing as a quarterback and your timing is fantastic. Get the ball out of your hands quick. That's critical. Sorry, I have a little cold here. Okay. Then the other thing you have to do is include your best 2 games. Every coach wants to see your full games or at least halves. You can do it by setting them halves. And here's what I have right here. This is my bad version of a B. Best 2 games or halves. Critical. They want to see not just your best plays, but they want to see the actual game. Do you take plays off when the play's away from you? Do you not carry out your fakes? Do you not stalk block if the ball is run away from you as a receiver? As a defensive player, balls run away from you. Do you chase? Do you pursue? Those are important things that they want to see. I've had great players that had the unbelievable dynamic plays not get offers with all the measurables and everything else because they were lazy away from the ball. What matters? Okay, so we talked about all these things. We want to talk about what matters here.
Hey, Dave, can you hear me? Dave, can you hear me?
What's going on here? What matters here? Your transcripts and grades. Do yourself a favor. Don't be in a last-second situation where your grades are too low that you're not going to be able to get recruited. Okay? Your film. How good is your film? How good are you? The exposure you get from events is part of your marketing portion. That has to coincide. So everyone always wants to know this. Events must equal your film. I can't tell you how many guys I've had come to our combine that have done well and their film was not good. And they want to know why they didn't get recruited. Well, you're fast, but you're not a good football player. You got to have both. You got to be able to have both. You got to be able to dominate the events in the off season. Okay, you've got to have great film. Positive person, positive about the program, great character. We cannot have guys with flaws in their character. And more, if you look at the NFL, how they're cracking down on the players that are doing anything wrong, it's going to trickle all the way down to the college level. It's going to be more and more people are not going to want to deal with those things. So positive person about your program, positive athlete on the field, a leader if we can be a leader. Not everybody is, but leadership is certainly if you're a quarterback, if you're not a leader, you're not going to get recruited. You got to be a leader. Your coach has to be able to tell college coaches that you're a great leader. Positive person, great character. Guys that other people want to be around. That's an important part of building the right culture in your team, just like you do in high school, doing the same thing in college. Your measurables, like I said, whether you like it or not, your measurables for the place that you're looking to target has to be comparable. Just look at a roster, just in case. And then there's some people that don't know about this, but here is where you go for a roster. Okay, let's start USC football roster. That's all you got to do. Type it right into Google. Okay, boom, 2018 USC athletics football roster. Click. Good. Here's the roster. Look, they even include the depth chart for you as well, okay? But here's the roster. You can go by position. This is the best way to do it. Go by position, okay? And you can just take a look. Look at receivers, right? This is USC, okay? The shortest receiver on USC is 5'10". The tallest receiver on USC is 6'4". If you want to be recruited by USC and you're not within that range, you're not going to get recruited. It's important to understand. How many of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Out of the 14 receivers on the roster, how many of them are above 6 feet? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the 14 receivers are over 6 feet. You get the picture. Now let's look at a Division III school. We'll do a different position. Okay. Actually, let's just do quarterback real quick here, so you get a kind of a picture. Quarterback, the roster on USC, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the roster. Okay, they have one guy that's 5'11", 6'3", 6'4", 6'6", 6'3", 6'3". Out of those 6 guys on the roster, 5 of them are 6'3" or bigger. 5 of the USC guys are 6'3" or bigger. Kind of gives you an idea of what they're looking for. Let's go to a Division III school. One of my favorites, Colby College football roster. My sister's the associate athletic director there. Not a plug for them, but just, I can plug whatever I want. I work for nobody. Okay, let's go and do position here. Let's do quarterback. There are 3 quarterbacks, if you look right here, 3 quarterbacks on Colby College's roster. 5'10", says Jersey guy there, 5'10", 6 feet, 6'1". 2 to 3 are 6 feet or bigger. They have one guy that's 5'10". That gives you an idea of the difference just at quarterback position. Let's look at receiver. Receiver, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5'9", 5'9", 6'2", 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet, 5'10", 6'2", 6'2", 6 feet. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half their guys are 6 feet or taller. So it gives you a little bit idea, height and size-wise, the differences at those levels. So you could be a little bit shorter at Division III level. Kind of gives you an idea of what that's all about. Okay. How good are you? This is the key. There's good, and then there's great. And then there is elite. Okay? You should know whether you're elite or not, because everyone else will know about you. Good to great is the biggest question. Are you – the biggest question for a lot of guys is most of the time Division I guy or borderline Division I guy kind of has an idea of where they are. But the levels below, people are confused about. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That's why you get the feedback from the college coaches. They're going to tell you how great you are. And that'll tell you what level you're going to go to. Okay, some resources, and then I'll take questions here, because we're running a little bit out of time. But this, like I said, if you want to get resources, I can also help you in your recruiting process. ShopNUC.com. ShopNUC.com. There's resources there for you. Okay, online, I just showed you ways to go online. Just use Google. Type in exactly what you're looking for. If you don't want to take the time to do that, I can help you with the list. Your coach is a great resource. Why do you want to get along with your coach? You want to talk to them. Now, I understand there are some coaches that don't get involved in the recruiting process, okay, that don't feel that that's their job. You want to have that, still have that conversation with your coach, because that'll tell you which way you want to go. And sometimes all you need to do is just give you a recommendation. So, will your coach recommend you? That's key. Will people recommend you? Will your teachers recommend you? And then events and exposure. I mean, for us, it's NUCsports.com. Okay, we have events listed there. But going to events and exposure can help you from a marketing standpoint. The key is to start winning awards. And then, because there's so much information out there, you can't just rely on us or the site to go and do it for you, because we send it to all the college coaches. But they're looking just like for certain measurables. So you can't expect something to happen from that. what you can't expect is if you then reach out and follow up and let them know, because ours is a reputable program and there's a lot of other reputable programs out there that you did well at it, that will help put you up another notch. That will get you. And I'm going to go through this real quick. This is what recruiting really is. You guys all know what filters are. You should nowadays. It's a filtering process. It's a filter in and out. The first thing coaches are looking to do is to disqualify people that don't fit what they want. Then the next thing they do is look to filter in when they figure out exactly what their needs are. You want to be in the filtering in process, and you want to find out how to get filtered in. Okay. Any questions? And I'll kind of give the floor. I'm going to put Brad and Keely on off mute here. They want to ask any questions, and then a couple other guys if they want to ask any questions here. Do you guys have any questions that you want to ask? I've unmuted you guys so you can go ask any questions.
Hey, Dave, this is Brad. Can you hear me?
Any questions about the recruiting process?
So, Dave, can you hear me at all? I'm trying to communicate.
Sean, anything?
I'm good. Can he?
Don't have any questions. Let me see if anybody online has any questions. Take any questions for you guys. Give it a minute here so you can think about it. Any resource? Great question from Brad. Any resources to get the video, your highlight tape? So, Brad, do you know that you could do that right in Huddle? I'm not sure if you know that or not, but you can do it right in Huddle. Brad, do you know if you can do it in Huddle or not?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Answer right through the phone if you have it.
Can you hear me at all?
Okay. It's important for you to understand that they're important resources. So like we do that, but that's not really our main thing. There are local companies that will do that. So I'll give you a couple off the top of my head. SSP Video does it. I'll type it in here. Video. They do. You could probably just Google that. Varsity House, I believe it's called, in New Jersey. They do it. They're both up in North Jersey. If you look locally, you type in like highlight tapes, you're going to find somebody. The costs vary, but those are two that I know that do a really good job. I also have a guy that works with me that does video, so if you're interested in that, he's fantastic, but he kind of only takes on a few people at a time. You can certainly email me if you're looking for that. If you need help, if you need someone for video. You guys can ask any questions you want. So if you have a question, you certainly can ask it. Okay. Yeah, what is the best way to catch a coach's attention through email? Okay, subject line is key. So your subject line is really the most important thing. Explosive quarterback that threw for 20 touchdowns and 0 interceptions for state champion. Something like that, okay? If you put your name and they don't know who you are, it really won't make a big difference. Or you can put after that, Sean Keely, okay? So that's an important thing that you want to have something that grabs attention. And then in there, you're going to have your profile and you're going to write about yourself. Coach, I'm a 6'1", 205-pound quarterback, was 70% passing this past year. Threw for 22 touchdowns, had only 2 interceptions. I was first-team All-State player. I was MVP at XYZ events. Those kind of things within there, and include your transcript and GPA and all the highlights, important things about you. And if you include your film, that's even better. Okay, so that's really, really a key thing. I hope that answers your question. If there's any other questions, please feel free to ask. All right, what I'm going to do real quick is put my contact info right in here for you. I just did it. Or you can reach out to me here. This is specifically for my clients, you guys. Here, you get this information. That's my personal email for you guys. If you have any further questions, you can certainly ask on there. Okay, Sean? All right. I could help you out. For anyone else that wants to get any help from a recruiting standpoint, Dave at NUCsports.com. Reach out to me and I'll help you out. Hopefully this hour was very helpful to you. If there's any questions further, just reach out to me on email. I'm available to you anytime. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm going to end the meeting now. If you have any last questions, the guys that are on with me, please do. All right. Thanks for coming out.